I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She's destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't.
The View hosts are among the dumbest people on television. It's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth.
But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say.
Everyone, because what we're witnessing is nothing short of explosive. In a move that's shaking the foundations of daytime television and the legal world alike, Melania Trump has launched a $100 million lawsuit against the hosts of The View. Yes, you read that right, $100 million. The former First Lady is not just pushing back. She's going to war over what she claims are defamatory and malicious comments aired during a recent segment of the talk show. This isn't just headline fodder, it's a collision between celebrity, politics, and the limits of media expression. So, what sparked this bombshell? During an on-air discussion about Melania's time in the White House, the hosts didn't hold back, and neither will we in breaking it all down. From dismissive comments about her marriage to loaded claims about her role as First Lady, it was an all-out verbal blitz. One host even alleged Melania seemed disinterested in both her duties and her husband, implying she was more prisoner than partner in the Trump household.
Critics are going hard after a liberal media member for vile comments about Melania Trump. The former First Lady appears to signal her support for reproductive rights in a video out yesterday.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth: individual freedom. What does my body, my choice really mean?
And this take is pretty shocking.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out.
Wow. I mean, that is violent. They've got to stop talking like that about a former president who's had 2 assassination attempts.
But the jabs didn't stop there. The conversation spiraled into criticisms of her personal tastes, her interior design choices in the White House, and even her take on the Christmas traditions she once championed. The image painted was that of a woman detached, dissatisfied, and disillusioned with her public role, whether intentional or not. The segment cast Melania as a reluctant participant in her own narrative, a caricature of someone forced into the spotlight, resentful of the attention. For Melania, this wasn't just petty banter. It was a full-blown character assassination beamed to millions.
Because I do want to get back to this point with the left and Melania Trump. Why can't she just be her own woman and have separate?
And she can.
And so why all that criticism? I mean, that was gross from The View. And look, The View is not the litmus test of America. We don't think that.
They were afraid of that remark. That was their problem.
So why did they handle it?
And now, Melania is striking back hard. She's not relying on statements or PR damage control. Instead, she's filed a defamation lawsuit, alleging the remarks made on The View were not only baseless but deeply damaging to her character and reputation. This is about more than bruised feelings. It's a declaration of war against what she perceives as reckless, agenda-driven commentary. But the fire didn't stop with the lawsuit. Enter Joe Rogan, podcast titan and ever-watchful critic of mainstream media. He lit into The View, calling their attacks on Melania hypocritical nonsense. Rogan reminded his audience that the very same hosts once cozied up to the Trumps, offering smiles, hugs, and warm applause. Fast forward to now, and the change in tone is staggering. According to Rogan, what we're witnessing is not honesty, opportunistic revisionism in service of political tribalism.
I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to play this, but we decided we shouldn't play it. We don't want anybody to have any sort of way to get it down. The episode of you when you were on The View, when you were running for president.
Right.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
Please let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
They're talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience was cheering, and then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
Joe Biden knows how to do this. Trump. Yeah. He tends to just...
Asterisk, but Rogan wasn't finished. He tore into the show with his trademark bluntness, suggesting that if you averaged the IQs of the hosts, you'd be lucky to hit triple digits. Brutal. Yes. But his audience devoured it. He called out the show's tone-over-substance approach, accusing the hosts of replacing thoughtful critique with shallow virtue signaling. Whether you love or loathe Rogan, he raises a point worth considering. When commentary slips into personal vilification, what's really driving the narrative principle, or performance?
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies-infested...
Asterisk. Now here's the big picture. Why does this case matter? Because it might redefine the rules of engagement when it comes to media coverage of public figures. If Melania Trump wins, we could be looking at a seismic shift in defamation, law, and the limits of free speech in media. What are the boundaries when discussing someone in the public eye? Where's the line between harsh opinion and reputational damage? This lawsuit could redraw those boundaries entirely. Shows like The View might find themselves walking a much narrower tightrope when it comes to discussing the personal lives of celebrities, politicians, and their families.
Allegedly, he was cheating while Melania was pregnant. That was all.
That's not going to come in front of the jury, though. The judge has ruled that
We're
will
not
come up.
on television now. And then after Melania gave birth to the baby, he found Stormy to strip around with, right?
Yeah.
It's like people should look at him and say, what kind of insecure jerk are you? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my wife's pregnant. I'm not attracted to her big belly or something. And now she's paying attention to the baby and not me.
Asterisk, of course. The View isn't new to controversy, but this is a whole new level. A former First Lady taking legal action against one of the most watched talk shows in America is unprecedented, and let's not ignore the timing. Melania's lawsuit drops just as Donald Trump is back in the headlines for his own political maneuvers. Is this coordinated strategy to reclaim narrative control, or a case of Melania finally reaching her limit? Some insiders speculate this is part of a broader effort to reposition Melania in the public consciousness, not just as Trump's wife, but as a force of her own, regardless of motive. One thing's undeniable. This isn't a PR stunt, it's a gauntlet thrown down in broad daylight.
You know who has been bragging all over the campaign trail about how he's the one that overturned Roe v. Wade, but apparently his wife has different thoughts on the reproductive rights after posting this video plugging her memoir. Take a look.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all we possess from birth. Individual freedom. What does my body, my choice mean?
Risk. Let's circle back to one of the most outrageous comments from the show. One host flat out claimed, Melania hates her husband and refuses to live in the same house. The audience audibly gasped. People watching at home couldn't believe what they were hearing. That kind of claim isn't just gossip, it's a torpedo aimed at someone's personal life. Most public figures ignore this kind of thing or send out a carefully worded denial through their reps. Not Melania. She's all in filing legal paperwork, bringing in lawyers, and going public with her demand for justice. This lawsuit is her line in the sand. It's not about optics. It's about principles. And with $100 million on the table, she's sending a message. Enough is enough. Her lawsuit confronts a central dilemma of modern fame. Where does the right to privacy end, and where does media responsibility begin? Whether you believe this is a genuine defense of dignity or a calculated media play, one thing is clear. This is about more than just a few hurtful comments. It's about setting a precedent for how far the media can go before they cross a legal and ethical.
You know who has bragging all over the campaign trail about how he's the one that overturned Roe v. Wade. But apparently, his wife has different thoughts on the reproductive rights after posting this video plugging her memoir. Take a look.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth. Individual freedom. What does my body, my choice really mean?
Asterisk, of course. The View isn't new to controversy, but this is a whole new level. A former First Lady taking legal action against one of the most watched talk shows in America is unprecedented, and let's not ignore the timing. Melania's lawsuit drops just as Donald Trump is back in the headlines for his own political maneuvers. Is this coordinated strategy to reclaim narrative control, or a case of Melania finally reaching her limit? Some insiders speculate this is part of a broader effort to reposition Melania in the public consciousness, not just as Trump's wife, but as a force of her own, regardless of motive. One thing's undeniable: this isn't a PR stunt, it's a gauntlet thrown down in broad daylight.